Today, we're going to build on what we started yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about you're having a bias towards action, and today we are going to build upon that. So I want to begin by giving you 3 steps that are going to help you move through thought to result. Okay, to move through thought to result. And then I'm going to repeat a step 4 that I think is going to surprise you. All right, so step 1, and for those of you that like to be secretary and put a note in the chat, that's cool. These are simple, easy, short steps. Step number 1, decide what you want. Decide what you want. Number 2, do not overthink it. This is where people get stuck. The overthinking. Can I do this? Should I do this? Why would I do this? Okay, do not overthink it. Step number 3, take immediate action and make it happen. Now you might be thinking, well, Leslie, that's just too simple. This is the point, right? So far, so good. Decide what you want. Do not overthink. Take immediate action and make it happen. Then what's the problem, I ask? Right? Then what's the problem? Why doesn't everyone, why don't we all meet and exceed our goals each and every time, if it's that simple? I think it's because step number 4. Step number 4 is the sticky widget. Okay, this is where most people stall out, get paralyzed, or even quit. Because in step 4, you didn't tighten the gap, right? You didn't tighten the gap. And I alluded to this gap yesterday. This is the gap from the moment you deal with resistance or disappointment or rejection or betrayal or momentary failure. This is the moment that occurs. And the time frame, the time that you take to make a decision to stay in the game and repeat number 3, take immediate action and make it happen. How wide is that gap? How long is that gap? What happens in that gap? So that's the whole idea here this morning, is to, how do we tighten that gap so we move more quickly from resistance to action, from betrayal to action, from rejection to action? This is so good. And most of us, we don't even realize it's happening. All right, so let me give you some examples. You're in sales, and a prospect tells you no. Maybe you don't even get a no, you get a harsh no. So you fail to make a sale, or you failed to recruit a business partner. So the question becomes, in this moment of gap, the question becomes, do you pick up the phone and call another prospect? Or do you pick up the phone and start scrolling through Facebook and Instagrams and start looking at other people's lives? This is big stuff. Okay, let me give you another example. You're on a weight loss program. Okay, you step on the scale, like you've been really trying hard. You step on the scale, and not only has it not budged a pound, you're up 3 pounds. You're disappointed. You start feeling full of shame and disbelief. So the question becomes, in that moment of rejection or shame or disappointment, you get to design your gap. In that moment, do you decide to put on your sneakers and go for a run? Or you go to the refrigerator and run for the ice cream? or the cookie in my case. All right, another example. You took a leap of faith. You joined an online dating service, right? You've reached out to a few candidates. A few seem like possible matches, but not a single person replies. So you're embarrassed. You feel rejected. The question becomes, in that moment of rejection, Do you review more profiles? Check out a few more dudes? Or do you come into the living room and review the TV guide and sink into television oblivion? Right? Like, you get to design that gap. You've got it, Ginny. Exactly. So I'll give you a personal example that I've been dealing with. So I'm in my 9th week of homestay, and I have been very conscious of how much news I'm willing to watch. But in the evening, I will watch a little CNN and just get up to date on a few things, get up to speed on a few things. So after watching the news, after watching Anderson Cooper, who I like, after watching Anderson, I got to admit, my mind, like, I turn it off, I stare out into the trees, and I have a tendency to, which is very unlike me in my usual day-to-day, but I start thinking worst case scenario. Like, what's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen to our world? What's going to happen to the economy? What's going to happen to the future? When am I going to be able to get out of here? When are we going to be able to socialize again? I think about the people who've lost their jobs or who are on furloughs, and the healthcare workers and the frontline people. And I just, my brain is Ricochet Rabbit on steroids, right? And I just get full of fear and anxiety. And I've learned over the last 8 weeks, this is my moment of gap. Like, I understand this because I write about it all the time. I think about it all the time. So I stop myself. So I have 2 choices. I can either move into this fear and anxiety, go crawl in a hole, or break out into tears, or open a bottle of wine and numb myself, right? Or I can, this is my 2 solutions to tighten my gap. I think of gratitude. I start with gratitude, and I quickly make a list of all the things that are working in my life, right? I think of gratitude first. I'm safe. My family's safe. My friends are safe. I go gratitude first, everything that's working in my life. And second, I focus on service. How can I help other people? How can I make a difference? Like, today is Help the Food Bank Tuesday. I forget how their moniker, right? So I've been donating to the food bank. I've been volunteering with Balboa Park, right? I've been giving my service to some companies or some leaders, just doing a pro bono call or giving them some advice. Like, I'm focusing on service. That's how I get out of my gap. Okay, everybody take a deep breath. Yoga breath. Whew. Staying in the game. This is what we're talking about. Staying in the game is so much more, though. It's so much more than simply making a call or going for a run or making a match or focusing on gratitude and service. It's all about how you tighten the gap. How quickly, how smartly do you move through adversity into what I call right action? And after this morning, if you're taking notes, if you'll put some Post-it notes up so that you're conscious of this, you're going to notice that there's situations throughout your day, all day, every day, where you have this moment to tighten the gap. How long does it take you to find the resolve to move past failure, past rejection, past disappointment, past frustration, and continue towards your goal? Whether that's a business goal, a life goal, a peace of mind goal.